one and then leave the other. It's not you pick generative and then you leave evaluative. It is something that after you are done with one, you move to the next. The same thing applies here. Qualitative and quantitative researches method are methods that you move from one place to the other. It is not types. When you go on the internet, you see types. I call it stages because it is something you can't do without. It is something you would eventually do. Now, what is qualitative research method? Qualitative research method, just like the generative research method, it is the beginning stage. It answers the question why and how. You understand? It answers why is this thing actually a problem, and it answers how is it a problem. This stage is where you take yourself out there to get data. This is the stage where you take yourself out there to interview people. This is the stage where you try and understand the problem. You try and understand what is motivating these people to do this. Let's take a scenario. Let's take what's it called? The research you guys did. Most people spoke about WhatsApp. While you were some people did some things, they asked some friends, some didn't have the idea, and then they asked people and they asked, do you think you have any problem with WhatsApp? And that is like trying to know why, trying to know how. There's some people that already had, the problem in their head, and they're like, okay, do you have this problem too? So that is basically that's the end and finish of qualitative research method. While quantitative research method is now after you've gathered the data, you realize you would have gotten so much hypothesis, gotten so much data. It is now less for you to now filter the one you work with. It is in this stage, your business analyst, after you've done yours, this is the stage you see more of the business analyst. Because after you've gathered your data, after you've done the research, after you've carried out your qualitative research method, you now see the business analyst doing something. They call it MVP. That is, you've gathered so much data, it is now time to filter the data. It is now time to ideate the data. You understand? This is what qualitative research method is. That's the to and fro of what qualitative research method is. So qualitative research method answers why and how. It is the beginning stage. Why quantitative is now like giving body to the data you've gathered. It now answers what and who. This is a diagram to shows how that shows how we carry our qualitative research method. And an example of qualitative research method is interview. If you remember, I said qualitative answers why and who. You cannot know why that is a problem without interviewing the target audience. You cannot know why that is a problem without going to the focus group and everything. Now, how do I? There is a method I used to identify these two things while I was learning at the time. You realize that qualitative research methods, they are methods that requires your physical presence. Look through those examples on the diagram. Look through those methods. You see that there are things that actually require you to be present. There are things that require your presence so as to gather data. Now look at the quantitative. There are something that after you've gathered the data, you do not necessarily need a physical presence. It's something you can now start, working on at the side. Take survey, for example. While you are drafting your surveys and you already have the questions, you just stay one place and send it out. Unlike interviews where you need to approach the person. So that is one way of differentiating what qualitative research method and quantitative research method is. Moving forward, this is a better explanation of what qualitative research method is. You can see it is the key to uncovering the why behind the action. It is the beginning stage while you already have an idea, and then remember I always tell you always be user centric. That is, before you go out there, think about your user first. Before you open Figma, before you have any design, you need to think about your user first. Right now, you are considering your users, and then you've identified the problem as a user. Now, what you need to do is now you confirm with other users if that is actually a problem. While you are doing that, you're already carrying out your qualitative research method, you're already uncovering the why. Okay, why is this thing a problem? Why is renting an apartment a problem in Lagos? When you uncover the why, then you can now discover the solution. So after you uncovered how and why behind this problem, you can now discover a solution. You go about the uncovery. Now, examples of qualitative research method, as you've seen from the first diagram, includes interviews, focus group, and then testing, your qualitative usability testing. Testing is general to both qualitative and quantitative, where at the end of everything, you need to test with your users if you've actually successfully carried the data and then transformed it to a design, or there is still like some loopholes and everything. This is the diagram of how you conduct your qualitative research method. Um, I will quickly run through it. You create a project layout with objective. That is, when you already have the problem in head, you already have an idea at your mind. Okay, this is what I want to solve. You understand? Then the next thing to do is to ask, is this thing actually a problem, or I am the only one seeing it as a problem? From our last class, there was somebody that came up with this um, what's it called? This research about Figma. You know, she had the problem with Figma, like Figma does not auto save and all, but it was not generally a problem. You understand? It was a problem to her, but it was not a general problem. That's the need to like ask, like create the question, ensure that this thing is really actually a problem before you delve into it, before you start creating template and all, and then you just realize it was not really necessary at the end. The next one is you recruit from your community. The best place to said best, the best way to get an attention of somebody is to when you are in a team, when you're in a group, when you're in a community. You cannot walk up to what's it called? Let's say WhatsApp or Figma and tell them, I have something for you guys, I have something for you guys, and then the first thing they will ask is, okay, the data, that's normal. And then they will ask, how many of you are in a team? You need to be in a team. You need to like have a group of people that you're working together with. That's just going to like what's it called? Increase your it's going to increase the probability of you getting more audience or more attention. The moment you are in a group of people, and then let's say you're in a community, and the community tends to be what's it called? To be known, you realize you get more attention. So why everybody is working on their separate what's it called? Their separate ideas, wanting to do this, wanting to do that. I would advise you, pick somebody from the team, pick somebody from the group chat, somebody you feel like, okay, I can work better with this person. Both of you share your ideas together and then form a team. You never know how far that would take you. And that's why Chike creates the group. Try and interact with those people. Try and make a connection. It really goes a long way. And then the next thing you now do after you have a family, you already have a question, all of you have a goal, you have an objective, you have your mission, vision statement, whatever. The next thing you now do is now conduct the research, validate your problem, validate your problem statement, ensure this is actually a problem. And then the next thing is you move into your quantitative. You realize that the last number 5 is a bit of quantitative, because that's the next thing. You now quench the data, and then start preparing your reports. You gather the data, and then you filter, you ideate which one comes first. On my MVP, which one am I doing now? On my MVP, which one am I doing 2 years to come? My MVP, which one am I doing like immediately after? That's the last stage. We already know what quantitative research method is. It is you now gathering the data. You already have your hypothesis, you have your theory, and now filtering them. And if you look at the image at the right, those are the steps of gathering your quantitative research. You remember from the first time I said, after you've done your qualitative, the quantitative, you already have so much hypothesis. In fact, you already have so much theory from carrying out the research. You realize that from the research you guys did, there's for those of us that did open-ended question that just asked, what do you think is the problem? If you had a list to more audience, you realize that a lot of people have more problem that you didn't even realize. You understand? You have so much hypothesis. This is where the quantitative research now comes in. You know, filter to, okay, this is a problem, but is this my audience? It's like, let me take for instance people that renting apartments, people that want to rent apartments. A lot of people want to rent apartments. It's now left for you to now know your target audience. Okay, are my target audience people that are working, that are earning per month? Okay, these are the people I can manage for now on my on the project I'm working on, or on my app. Okay, am I target audience people that are into contribution? Understand? Then they pay from here, they pay from there. You know, knowing your target audience is where your quantitative research now comes in. You already have so much hypothesis. It's now left for you to break it down. Let me just give you an advice. While you are doing your qualitative, you realize, like I've said, you have too much. Now, ensure you don't focus too much on solving all the problems. Don't try and solve. You can't solve all the problem at one go. You can't even, in fact, after a long while you even realize you have not even solved all the problem. And that's why Google today is still trying to, solve some problems. Till tomorrow they will still continue to solve problems. So when you have an idea, while you are carrying out your quantitative research method, ensure you try to, dumb it down. Which one should I do first? Okay, let me do this first. Now, after you've dumbed it down, the next thing to now do is now, start carrying out your surveys on it. Okay, I have realized that these are the problems, but for now I am solving just this problem. Okay, now next thing I need to do is now, go to those people that are specifically having only that problem, carry out a survey with them. After you've carried the survey with them, you already have your data, you now start building your interfaces and all. You see the examples for quantitative research methods are questionnaires and surveys. After you've gathered your data, you already have your hypothesis and everything. The immediate next thing you want to do is carry out a survey. The survey is just there to validate the problem statement, to give data. Most times, you see people carrying out survey. It's not because they don't know. Not all the time they don't know the problem. They already know the problem. They've already validated the problem. But to have data to back their project up, you see surveys out there. Um, this class, I'm also going to be telling you how you can, carry out surveys, and then we are going to have a survey, we are going to have an interview, we are going to have everything, our class, theory, then practical. We're going to take the practical immediately after the theory. This is a diagram, showing the qualitative research method, how you can, go about it and all. Now, look at the first quotes here. We said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. What this is telling you about, the first thing is telling you about the qualitative and quantitative. Because most people get overwhelmed. I remember starting out when I was just starting out, and then I was given a project to work on. I was really overwhelmed, and that's why I just want you to like get that now. Not every problem you can give a solution to, and not every solution you are giving a problem to actually matters. Understand? So it is better you study the environment, study Nigeria, in fact, Nigeria is too big. Study Lagos. If you are staying in Lagos, if you are staying in Port Harcourt, study Port Harcourt. Okay. I realize these are the problems. Okay, which one is specific to just this state? You understand? That will help you come up with a solution that really actually matter, and then it does not matter after a long time. Take for instance somebody who wants to what's it called, create a virtual stuff like the pizza stuff Chike shared with us the last time. This is an app where you don't actually need to press any button. You just don't need to press any button. You just like shake the phone and you've ordered your pizza and everything. That's very nice. But the question is, would it work in Nigeria? In fact, people are still, struggling with the person, or they are still struggling with it in Nigeria. So you can say that if I, as a person, came up with that idea, the environment is not ready to accommodate such an idea. And this is why you need to you realize the qualitative comes natural. Identifying why, identifying how is a very natural thing. Going to people to ask them the question, it comes natural, even as a person. And as a designer, it's just like enhanced. You get to discover a lot of problems. As a designer now, you would realize that when you go to website, it is easy for you, very easy now for you to like detect, okay, this is wrong here, this is wrong here, okay, I can make this better here. You realize it is easy for you when you open an application, when you open a gaming application, whatever application, you realize that the interface, the UI is not so good. What if they make this here, they put this here? It comes so natural. But that's why I'm like trying to focus more on the quantity, because that is what now helps you filter. It now helps you, do things that really actually matter. The next quote, I'm just going to read it. In every project, there would be a need to use a mix of both qualitative and quantitative. You can't leave one and dump the other. That was the mistake I made in my first project. I did the qualitative and I left the quantitative. By that I did more research. I did more interviews with a lot of people, and then when it was now time to start the UI, the interface, and everything, I realized I was having about 50 problems, like 30 features on just one application. Realize it won't work. It won't work. It won't just work, and you just start getting overwhelmed. Like, okay, which one should I do? Which one should I do now? So it's better you mix both of them. After you have those much problems, dumb it down to the simplest one you can attack first, and you feel like and not even feel, that the market will appreciate better and faster. So after you've gathered, a name for yourself, an audience for yourself, you now start, attacking other problems. Like that, you can even just, shift to another application entirely, create another one. So now you have to, that kind of thing. That is how the qualitative, you have to mix both of them. Not mixing both of them will just, in the middle space, you just get overwhelmed and then you leave. Get overwhelmed and then you leave. You don't even know what next to do. It also happens, this also works when you have an idea and then there are already people that are into these ideas. Like you want to create an e-commerce website, there is already Jumia, there is already Gigi, there is already all those things. Now when you do your qualitative, you already realize that yes, people don't want to move out. People actually just want to buy things at the comfort of their own. It's already a problem. This problem is already validated. Just carry out the research, have data, back it up. That's where your quantitative now comes in. Now be like, okay, who are the people I am selling to? You realize the moment you can answer that question, even in a market that you feel is saturated, you can still have your way in the market. You can still have your audience in the market. You understand? That is where you now be like, okay, I can still penetrate this market. It looks saturated, but with your quantitative data, you realize it is still there is this space. There's always going to be space for everybody to like penetrate the market. Um, these are just examples of they are supposed to be examples of both qualitative and then quantitative, because there are some of quantitative here. We have the interview. I'm still going to talk in depth of the interview. This is when you have a one-on-one discussion with your target audience, one-on-one discussion with your stakeholders. You might be asking, who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are people that are directly or indirectly affected by the by your products. I guess, let's say you are you are to work on a project of what's it called, a renting platform or something. Realize your stakeholders are landlord, your stakeholders are tenants, your stakeholders are you yourself, you working on the project, your stakeholders are other people that are in your team, your stakeholders are the law, by then anybody that will be affected by that project. Those are who the stakeholders are. So it is sometimes you don't really necessarily interview all the stakeholders. You just you interview the direct stakeholders. Those are the people that would actively, be using the platform. Like the one for the renting platform now, you can't start going to go and interview the law, but you need to know the law. That's why you don't interview the law, you need to know the law. Focus group are just, gathering your target audience, your group of users. So now interview is like one-on-one. Focus group is like you're having the interview with four different people, four different target audience, four different landlords. You're having one interview with five different landlords, having one interview with five different tenants. Understand? Field study is you just staying and observe. If you remember, I spoke about it on our last class. That is like explanatory observations from after the one-on-one interview. These are interviews you do where you don't engage. You don't engage who you are interviewing. You don't engage the people. You just sit and observe. So from your observation, you realize you would have fewer questions. Most of your questions would have been answered already. So it's just those few questions, you walk up to them and then they give you the answer for. You have surveys. This is where I think everybody has done a survey here. From the last research, most people that actively participated out, carried out a survey. Cognitive analysis from the last class, I explained what cognitive analysis is. I'll just talk about it briefly. Is when you are not the first person in the market. Now you are trying to analyze the other people that are in the market, and then you are trying to come up with a differentiator. That is, what is making me different from these people? Why should people leave GG and come to my platform? Why should people leave WhatsApp and come to my own social media platform? So you carry out your cognitive analysis. From your cognitive analysis, you now realize, you get to realize your differentiator. Okay, this is what I can do differently, and by doing this differently, I have this target audience. What is the next one? There is card sorting. This is when you organize. Card sorting is more of like when you are trying to arrange your information, how the information architecture on the platform will look like. I think we are still going to have a class on information architecture, IA, and then we'll talk about it more intensively there. It's just like, okay, on the platform, this is what I want to come first. Okay, you write everything you want on the platform. Then you now start sorting. Okay, this come first. Okay, this moves next. Okay, when they do this is the next action. And these are the informations they should see on it. That is that. The usability testing. I think somebody asked a question on it the last class. You would always have to test. Testing does not end. You're testing the moment you start, especially in the UI phase, the interface. When you start making the interface, your testing doesn't stop. It starts from within. That's when we're talking about the formative and summative. You eat your noodles first. You taste your design first. In fact, as you're designing it, you yourself are testing it. You're testing it with your fellow designers and everything. Design and testing doesn't end, both for qualitative and quantitative. And then the A and B testing. I think we are going to just have a brief practical class on what A and B testing is, so you can get a better knowledge on it. But A and B testing is something very simple. At times, after, especially when you are working with a team, you realize that you have one or more interfaces. It is now difficult for you to choose because designers are, what's it called? They are, what's the verb I want to use? They are glued to their design. You're always glued to your design, and it's difficult after.
So Missy, your network is breaking.
The network is breaking. Maybe you can leave and join back. Maybe that will work. All right, so let's just give him a couple of seconds to come back. So, so far, do you guys understand what user research is?
Yes.
Okay. So, just to put more context to what we're saying, um, there's some research you do before you start building. There's some research you do while you are building, and there's some research you do after you finish building, right? So before you build, you're trying to validate what what problem you're trying to solve, what are you going to build, who are you solving it for. So when you're now building your product, you are trying to find out, is this actually going, because it's going to be very bad when you finish designing a whole full product and they now develop the product and launch it. Then the market says, oh, well, this thing is not what we want. So at every point in time, uh, we try to test for usability, try to test, is this product actually usable? Can this actually be used? Right. So then when you now finish building, you conduct another test to find out if your assumptions that you actually put into the design, all the assumptions you put, all the research you put, can be validated by the user in a live scenario, right? Can be validated by the user after the product has been developed or designed, rather, right? So sometimes you even see, in fact, there was a user testing I was watching, and do you know what they were testing? They were testing Sketch. That's a paper. They were testing a paper prototype. And I was like, how do you carry a paper to uh, to the field to test, right? But that's how it's being done, right? So like when they were also developing, when they wanted to update Google Map, they actually had to send field testers to India, right? So they took field testers to India, and they found out that most in India, people use bike a lot. Like they use bike a lot because of traffic. Now, imagine imagine that you're using bike. How can you use how can you use your map on a bike when you're the one riding it? Right. So those are some of the things that inform the decision that you see on Google Map, the decisions of the voice that is telling you turn right, turn left. Right. So because remember oh, I don't know if everyone was in that class, but there's a class I talked about type of disability when I was talking about accessibility. Right. So there is permanent disability, there's temporal, and there's situational. So permanent disability is okay, this guy is blind, he is blind. Right. So if you are designing something for permanent disability, you know that okay, at every point of time in time, this person interacting with this device is blind or is dumb or is deaf, right? Then there is the temporal disability. Now, if you have someone that uses the glasses before the person can actually see, the person is not actually blind, but he needs to use his glasses. Now that's temporal, right? Um, or someone that has an injury on the eye, that's temporal. while situation now could be, okay, this guy is driving. That means his eye is focused on something else, right? And okay, let me see that. And his eye is focused on something else. Okay, so okay, Thomas, are you back?
Yes, I am. Really sorry about that, everyone. Service has been acting up. All right, give me a minute to share my screen. Um, all right. Please confirm you can see my screen.
No, sir.
How about now?
Yes, now.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry about that. I think I've explained the examples of both qualitative and quantitative researches. The heading here is just a mistake. I'm supposed to add for quantitative too. Okay. Now we're going to be talking more user interview, and then survey. Now, as we already know, user interview is under qualitative, while survey is under quantitative. Now, we already know what interview is, right? We already know it is the one-on-one discussion you have with your target audience. So, what I majorly want to share is tips on how you can carry out an interview. And but I want you to know that this is not it's not going to be a script. It shouldn't be a script for you. It should just be like a guide. A walkthrough. Okay, this is how I want to go about my interview. It shouldn't be like what you now use every time. You can always come up with the way you want to interview the person or the people. The first thing is you start with an introduction, an icebreaker. The first thing you need to do is introduce yourself. Especially in a country like Nigeria, where you know we don't trust each other as much. Everybody has has a bad agenda. The first thing you need to do is introduce yourself. Okay, I am this. I am a product designer. I work for this company, or I am at this academy, and then I have this project. You understand? Just try and introduce yourself. Let them make sure they are comfortable with you, because that's the only way you can get your answer. Next thing is give them the grantor. By grantor, you're now telling them what the project is about. Okay, this is what I'm working on, and then I have realized this and this and this is a problem. Now I just want to know why. Okay, as a landlord, why is it difficult for you to get tenants? Like why? From giving the grantor, it will lead straight to digging deeper. Like okay, they'll now start telling you things you yourself do not know. You understand? You now start, telling you now start getting information. That's why you start digging deep into the discussion. You start learning and realizing things yourself initially do not know. The magic wand. What is the magic wand? The magic wand is to get them comfortable. Try and you're talking about the project. Sometimes you deviate to talking about them. Talk about them as a person. Make sure the problem you are trying to come up with a solution is, you need to make sure it is as what's it called, is as personal as possible, so that when other people are like seeing your problem statement, they can relate to it. So the magic wand is basically talking about them. Oh, why nice house though. Thank you. You understand? They get more comfortable with you. They get to tell you more things. You are willing to know. Now the next one is, even when you think, that's why I added a thing there. Even when you think you know the answer, still ask why. Still ask why. There are some situations we feel like we already have the answer. Um, sorry. There are some situations. There are some situations where you feel like you already have the answer, you already know the answer, and some situation you might actually know the answer, but it's better you still ask why. Understand? Because from answering the answer, you get to deviate into more things that will shine more knowledge to what you are asking. Understand? So even when you know the answer, even when you know the reason behind it, it's better you still ask. And then when they're answering, don't cut them off. Don't say, no, I already have that. Next question, wait, next question. No. Let them, land. It's two ways. It's either what they say, you already know everything, or at the end you end up learning a new thing. Ask for narrative, ask for examples, let them narrate. You get to know more about the problem. Not sure. Chiki, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Chiki, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So ask for narrative. Let them give you real life scenarios. Let them tell you what has happened in the past, how they the problem they have to go through. From the narrating, you would really feel the problem they have to go through and everything. And then in your solution, start trying to eradicate those problems and everything. So always ask for narrative. Always, let them give you a real life scenario of how the whole thing played out. You also need to observe their body language. They say the body language says more things that the mouth don't say. Observe their body language. When you ask a question, how is their body reacting to it? Are they being defensive? If they are being defensive, okay, this person is most likely not giving me all the answer I want. You would gather from there and then go to another person, ask that particular question. From the body language you can always deduce something is wrong or something is right. And then the last one is have an interview partner. Why should you have an interview partner? It's because it is difficult for you to interview a person and then note things down. In situations where you don't have an interview partner, instead of you jotting things down, it's better you record the interview, record the whole session, because it will be distracting while the person is talking to you and you are writing. The person might lose focus. You understand? You don't want anything to like interrupt that interview. You want it to be as seamless as possible. So the best way you can do that is, either go with a partner, so that you are the one speaking, the person is speaking to you, the other person is just, writing down the main points and everything. Or if you are to go alone, there are sometimes you should just be you. Just record so that you avoid that situation. And then survey. What is survey? Survey is like, taking questions out to people and then they answering. It is as simple as that. But what you need to now focus more on survey is you need to know the question you want to ask. Don't just go on your Google's form and then write out any other question. Let me just ask you a brief question. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you see surveys on post status, how many do you answer? I just want a quick answer. When you see people upload, please fill this form, form. How many of those survey questions do you as a person answer? I want fast answer so I can move.
No,
So I can. Please speak. Please speak. I please just
Actually,
speak.
this is Oluwajo Dalobade. Really, I don't really participate most of the time on the surveys. I don't really participate, but in a case where a friend asks me to help him share or help him publicize his day, I do such.
All right. All right. Jodalo said I don't actually participate. What I just do is probably I will share for you. Or I want another answer. I want another answer so we can shed more light to survey.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, mine is say 3 out of 10.
Three, 3 out of 10. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I want somebody else. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many do you think you would answer?
Can
Yeah,
I?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I don't usually participate in such, but if it's something that is sent personally to me, I can do that. So I would say on a
Okay.
scale of 1 to 10, it should be 2.
Okay. You said if it is something that is personal to you. Okay, good. I
If it
like
was
that.
sent personally to me, if it was sent
If
as
it
in
was sent
specifically,
personally, okay, okay. If somebody
yes,
sends
yeah.
it to your DM personally, okay, okay. All right. One more person, and then I wrap it. Busola wanted to speak.
Yes, it depends on how the question is. Like, if it's not too tasking to answer,
Okay,
so
it depends on what the
yes,
question is. So
yes,
that
if
means you
it's not
might
too
might
tasking to answer, if it's very straightforward to answer, like very simple to answer, then regardless the person that sent it, I'll answer it.
All right. So what Busala you do is you open the question, and then if you see that, oh more this question is too taxing, it's too long, you leave, right?
Not like I leave, I answer the ones that are very simple, then
And then you
probably get tiring as I am answering the tasking one.
all right. You realize that from the survey I just did here, people tend to not answer survey questions. And the reason is very simple. And you people have given answers to it. Let me start with what Busola said. She said, if the questions are too taxing, that is, number one, your survey must be as direct as possible. Me as a person, if I like want to answer a survey and I'm saying 37 questions, I'm leaving. So you are trying to ask people questions. Either it is an open-ended survey or a closed-ended survey. You need to make sure it is as concise as possible, such that when people see it, they are saying 5 questions, they are saying 7 questions, they are saying 8 questions. Now, mind you, when you are carrying out a project, your survey is not once. You understand? You don't do the survey once. You can spread your survey 2 3 times, and this will help you, to get more audience. This will get you to reach more audience. If I am the person that posts a survey, and then people already know me that my survey is just 5 questions, the probability of them, answering the next time is very high. Than I have a survey and I'm having 37 questions. So while you're writing your survey, you need to know the question you want to ask, the specific questions you need to ask. That will just, aid people answering. You need to simplify your English so that it doesn't look too taxing. As well as I said, if the questions are taxing, I will just leave it, go to the simple ones and leave. Now, mind you, you might not even need the simple ones Bosiah might have answered. They might not be, the data you need. Things like what is your email, what is your name. They are not things that relate to the project. They're just relating to data. These are the people that answered this thing. But to your project, they are not, they are not necessary. Now, if somebody now comes to your survey and then answering questions that are not necessary for the project but for the data, realize you've not even carried out any survey, you don't have any data yet. So you want to ask, you want to be specific about your questions, you want to dumb down your questions and then make them simple. That's number one. Now, number two, somebody said if it is sent to me personally, that's when I answer. So I can't view your status and then see the survey and then answer. And that would, it is not easy for you to now send survey to all your contact list. So in situations like that, how do I get people to answer my survey? Now, you remember from your qualitative, you've done your interview, and then from your interview, I just give you a tip. Make sure they give live scenarios. Make sure they narrate. Now, from narrating, you get to feel the pain points. You yourself now, feel the pain points. Now, this is what you do. On the description of your survey, make sure you are not saying, most survey I see out there is, I have a survey, I'm working on a project, it's a 5-minute survey, please answer. that is when you realize people do not answer. People do not answer that kind of survey. Except it is now sent to them personally. Except I now call you and say, hello, please, please, can you quickly just let me answer this survey? It's very urgent. I'm opening a project. How many people do you want to call? And in a situation where you need data like 100 people, do you plan on calling 100 people? What you can do to attract people to fill in your survey form is the description. Make sure they relate with the description. Now, mind you, your survey is not necessarily for everybody to fill. I get me. Your survey is not. So when some people do not fill the survey form, it's most likely when you have a good description, it's most likely the description will not relate to them, and it is fine. But you want to make sure your description makes sense to them, such that they'll be like, oh, let me fill this survey form. And I know some of you would have encountered a situation. You initially do not want to fill that survey, but when you read the description, you're like, this might be interesting. Let me go for it. Let me see the questions. Yeah. That's how far your description, will take you. So when you're giving out your survey, you should put two things in mind. Make sure your questions are as simplified as possible. Make sure they are as concise as possible. Make sure you're not having 30 questions. Make sure you are just having small questions that are really relating to the project, and then they are simplified as possible. The next thing you need to do is make sure your description is catchy. Have a very catchy description. We are going to be having our practical class tomorrow, and then we are going to be coming up with several projects. Most of it will be from those things you guys worked on. So from the chat, I'll just be asking some of you, if I remember the projects, just I'll ask it, just give me the project. And tomorrow what we do is we'll now do 2 surveys. We'll do the normal convention. This Emmy answer this survey, blah blah blah. We see the number of responses we get. Then we do another one with a catchy description, and then you see the difference between both of them. Now from survey, we have majorly 2 types of survey. We have the open-ended survey question and then the closed-ended survey question. And then the open-ended survey question are where you give the question open. You let them type. You understand? You are having something like, okay, I think I've answered it. How do you feel about online dating? You're not restricting them. You're not restricting them to an answer. You understand? You are willing to make them write more about it. Okay, how do you feel? Then I start writing how you feel. Example of an open-ended survey is another one is do you feel like there is a problem with WhatsApp? You ask open-ended question when you yourself have not pinpointed what you want to do. Understand? Probably they give you a project and you yourself you've not even understood the project. The next thing you want to do is have an open survey question. Give it out. Okay, I was asked to work on WhatsApp. You just fix something on WhatsApp. And to me as a person, WhatsApp is perfect. What you need to do is have an open-ended survey question. From the open-ended survey question, you get to hear from people without telling you, okay, from the status, I don't like the way the things upload. Okay, from the status, I want to be able to edit while I've even uploaded. Okay, I need this, I need that. You understand? From there, you now get the things you yourself will now, attack. That is what the open-ended survey question do, and that is when you should use it. But in situations where you already have, your questions ready, you already have your ideas ready, you already have everything ready. The next thing you want to do is just, have your closed-ended survey questions where you just, ask restrictive answers and then you restrict them to a yes or no. You restrict them to yes I do, yes I do not. This is where you have your objectives, your multiple options, and then you can always also mix. In a survey question, you can have both the open-ended question and the closed-ended question. And what most people do is after they've given data and everything, they already have their objective. At the end, you would see for professional survey questions out there, you will see the open-ended question at the end. when they are trying to like maybe run an update. After they've given you all the questions they need to validate their problem, at the end you now ask the questions like if you had the power to add, a future, what a minute, what would you do, what would you remove, what would you add? Those are open-ended questions just to get feedback from their users. That would be all for today. So about the qualitative and the quantitative research method. Is there any person that has a question? Is there any person that have a question? Any questions, please? Um, Chike, can you hear me? Please confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Is there any question? Or have I done a fantastic job?
Yes, you did a great job. It's very clear to understand.
All right, thank you. Is there like an addition, maybe an experience you want to share, so we can just to give other people clarity? Maybe you have carried something out and then you realize that I've actually done this, but this is what happened. You can also share here. All right, while you're thinking about it, for tomorrow class, we'll be having our practical session as our regular students already know. We always have the theory class first, then we do the practical class. So for tomorrow, we would be working on those researches some of you have done. So we'll be carrying out a survey, we'll be carrying out an interview, we'll be coming up with a user personnel. So we're doing those three things practically. We'll be doing it like no templates, nothing, and then we just we build it. So it's going to give everybody the knowledge on how to go about it when it's now them alone and them and their project. When it's now you and your project, you already have an idea of how to go about it. Okay, before Chike continues, is there really questions that I need to answer on today's topic before Chike have the floor? All right, Chike, is have the floor.
All right, thank you very much. So, to everyone, let's thank you, Tomisi. Thank you, Tomisi, for this class. It was really exciting and interesting, and you know what they say, that you can never learn something finished. So I really picked up a couple of things from this class. So just give me a second. I want to join my laptop. All right. So I'm going to. So do you have anything? Has anyone? Okay. Let's just do it on a scale of 1 to 10. How comfortable are you with user interview and user surveys? How comfortable are you? Do you think you understand it?
I'll say 8.
8. Cool. So Adewumi. Adewumi Akinwande. All right, I'm going to stop recording now. Yeah.